The Arab conquests of the 7th and 8th centuries were among the most transformative events in human history. In a matter of decades, Arab armies swept across the Middle East and North Africa, toppling empires, establishing new dynasties, and spreading Islam. But this rapid expansion came at a cost, one paid by the indigenous peoples of these lands. For communities like the Copts of Egypt, the Assyrians of Mesopotamia, and the Berbers of North Africa, the Arab conquests marked the beginning of a long and painful ethnic cleansing and erasure of culture. The conquest of Egypt in 641 CE is a stark example. At the time, Egypt was a predominantly Christian land, home to the Copts, who traced their faith back to the teachings of Saint Mark in the 1st century. The Arab invasion, led by General Amr ibn Alas, was swift and brutal. While the Copts initially welcomed the Arabs as liberators from Byzantine oppression, they soon found themselves subjugated under a new regime. Heavy taxes, known as jizya, were imposed on non-Muslims, forcing many Copts to convert to Islam to escape economic hardship. Over time, the Coptic population dwindled from a majority to a minority. The Copts remain a resilient but beleaguered minority to this day. Despite their ancient roots and contributions to Egyptian culture, they face systemic discrimination and periodic violence. In recent decades, attacks on Coptic churches and communities have become alarmingly common. The 2017 Palm Sunday bombings, which killed over 40 worshippers, and the 2016 bombing of St. Mark's Cathedral in Cairo are stark reminders of the precariousness of their existence. Today, Copts make up only 10% of Egypt's population, a stark contrast to their once dominant presence. In Mesopotamia, the Assyrians, a Christian people with roots tracing back to ancient Assyria, endured a fate similar to other indigenous groups. The Arab conquest of the 7th century dismantled centuries of Assyrian cultural and political autonomy, imposing jizya and other discriminatory measures that spurred widespread conversions to Islam. Once numbering in the millions, the Assyrian population has dwindled dramatically. Today, fewer than 2 million Assyrians remain globally, many living in diaspora due to persistent persecution in their ancestral homelands of Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. The rise of ISIS in 2014 exacerbated their plight as the group targeted Assyrian villages, destroyed ancient churches, and displaced thousands. In Iraq alone, the Assyrian population has plummeted from 1.5 million in 2003 to fewer than 250,000 today. Despite these challenges, Assyrians continue to resist erasure, advocating for autonomy in the Nineveh Plains and striving to preserve their endangered ancient language, Aramaic. The Berbers of North Africa, known as the amazigh, had a complex relationship with the Arab conquerors. Initially, they resisted fiercely, with leaders like Queen Dihya Kahina spearheading rebellions against the Arab armies. Over time, however, many Berbers converted to Islam and even played a pivotal role in the Arab conquest of Spain. Despite their contributions, the Berbers faced cultural and linguistic marginalization as Arabization swept across North Africa, leading to the decline of their language and traditions, a process that persists today. In modern times, the amazigh constitute a significant minority in countries like Morocco and Algeria, where they have fought for recognition of their identity. Recent decades have seen a cultural revival, with Tamazight, the amazigh language, gaining official status in Morocco 2011 and Algeria 2016. These milestones, however, have not fully addressed decades of discrimination. Many amazighs still contend with economic and social exclusion, while urbanization and globalization threaten their cultural heritage. Despite these challenges, the amazigh take pride in their rich history, from the ancient Tifinagh script to their vibrant music and art. Their ongoing struggle for recognition underscores the enduring strength of their identity. The mechanisms of this erasure, ethnic cleansing of minorities by Arabs, were multifaceted. Military conquest was only the beginning. The imposition of jizya and other discriminatory policies created economic and social pressures that pushed many to convert to Islam. Over time, intermarriage, cultural assimilation, and the spread of the Arabic language further eroded the distinct identities of these communities. In some cases, outright violence was used to suppress resistance. The Arab conquests were not merely a change of rulers. They were a profound transformation of the social, cultural, and religious fabric of the region. Yet, the legacy of these conquests extends beyond historical erasure. The Arab world's history of enslavement, particularly of African populations, and the systemic marginalization of indigenous groups like the Copts, Assyrians, and Amazigh, remain largely unacknowledged. Modern Arab societies often exhibit deep-rooted prejudices against these communities, with racial and cultural hierarchies still prevalent. Terms like abd, slave, and zanj, a derogatory term for Black Africans, persist in everyday language, reflecting enduring stereotypes. What is perhaps most striking is the lack of collective remorse or accountability for these historical crimes. Instead, many in the Arab world view themselves as perpetual victims of Western imperialism and oppression, often overlooking their own history of conquest, enslavement, and cultural erasure. This narrative of victimhood, while rooted in legitimate grievances against Western imperialism, often obscures the Arab world's role as both oppressor and conqueror. The irony is profound. A region that has endured exploitation by external powers has also been complicit in the oppression of others, often on a comparable, if not greater, scale. This duality, of victim and perpetrator, lies at the heart of the Arab world's historical narrative. Yet, to cast Arabs solely as victims is a profound distortion of history. The Arab conquests, marked by enslavement, cultural erasure, and systemic oppression, rank among humanity's gravest crimes. Entire civilizations were uprooted, millions enslaved, and indigenous identities suppressed, all under the banner of empire and faith. And yet, many in the Arab world cling to the illusion of victimhood, shaped by their losses to Western powers in more recent centuries. This selective memory, which overlooks their own history of conquest and domination, perpetuates a dangerous cycle of blame and denial. Until the Arab world confronts this past with honesty and accountability, the cycles of oppression and resentment will endure, leaving no space for reconciliation or progress. The Arab conquests reshaped continents and altered the course of history, but their legacy remains unresolved, a haunting reminder that history is not merely a record of events, but a mirror reflecting how we choose to see ourselves. To move forward, the Arab world must first reckon with its own role as both oppressed and oppressor, for only then can the wounds of the past begin to heal. Or, if you want to see more content like this, subscribing is the single most impactful way you can support my work and encourage future videos. If you feel this video offered value, please consider sharing it with someone who might also appreciate it. And I genuinely value your comments. They really help me understand what resonates with you. Thank you deeply for watching. Your support is invaluable.